Tic Talk, Tic Talk, Tic Talk, Talk.
A real Celtic talk show by real Celtic fans from the Carluke Shamrock Supporters Club on Hail, Hail Media.
Tic Talk, Tic Talk, Tic Talk, 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 Talk.
Hail, hail, and welcome to Tic Talk with the Carluke Shamrock Celtic Supporters Club. My name's Vincent, and this podcast is being recorded on Tuesday, the 19th of March. You can find more information about the club at carlukeshamrock.com and details of the podcast and the other Celtic family podcasts at hailhailmedia.com. Tonight we're going to have a wee look back at the Aberdeen home game, a wee look forward to our next match against the new League Cup holders, St.Mirren. Plus the usual hot topics with some very hot topics, and we'll round it all off again with some more shambolic shenanigans. So tonight's panel for you is
Peter,
Johnny,
Brian
right side of the lights. Just for Richard.
Thanks for coming, guys. So it's about -4 outside and the snow's coming on heavy, but this is going to be a busy show, so wrap up.
It's warmer outside than what it is in here.
So at least we've got cups of tea, and tonight we've got
The biscuit for tonight is chocolate hobnobs.
chocolate hobnobs. You're well looked
Very
after.
poor.
You're very well looked
Poor.
after.
From borders to hobnobs. Just
I was expecting the ones we was boasting about last week, Edinburgh. What are they called? The crispy.
Oh, I should have brought them. Should I?
Crispy
Crispy creams.
creams.
Crispy
the
creams.
donuts.
Actually, we'll have a crispy creme podcast.
Right.
Let's do that
I wait till after Lent then.
after Lent, when everybody can eat it then. Alright?
Aye,
That could be a title.
I've never had it.
That
I've
might be
never
a
had
title winner,
crispy
Are they
actually.
good, Vincent?
Yeah.
Would you?
No, they're good, they're good. I bought the dozen, so you can get a dozen for, it's about £9.50
I've noticed.
and I had a couple.
And you poked your belly in there and she said it doesn't went down.
Anyway, just in case you think you've tuned into D.L. Smith's bacon time, we're still in Luke Shamrock, I think.
Aye, we are. So the first topic we're just going to talk about Aberdeen, but it's a very special day out for Carluke Shamrock. With two special birthdays. Brian, you want to just fill in the listeners
We certainly
about
did. We've got
our itinerary for Saturday?
one of the members of the original members, Mr. C, was 68 on that day, and also we had a bigger special occasion in Feary because it was a special birthday for the Eastie Beastie,
Eastie Beastie.
Douglas Mooney. He was 40 on the day. We had a wee surprise of cakes, and we had a wee day in the lounge, and back to the Captain, we had a wee bite to eat. Then we ended up back at this very hall for the St Patrick's night, and it was ended up a good night.
Aye,
Certainly did.
a very good night. And there was a few. There was a fair bit of bookie bashing going on Saturday as well.
Certainly was. Say, from yourself, Vincent, you know what I mean? Yourself, I'll just fill the... Unless there's anybody's needing a tap. Vincent Sherman, he had bet 4-3.
4-3, 150 to 1 and had a wee pound on it. That's
Get in
cool,
there.
yeah.
Get in
You want
there.
to start upping your stakes to a fiver anyway.
Well, the thing is, I put quite a lot of daft bets, so I can't afford to put on the...
He takes all his bets out, he's like War and Peace, and you know what I mean? He's got his bets together. And then we also had a bet, about 4 or 5 his bet, Charlie Mulgrew to score at any time in the game, 72. The ball did get deflected, but with Charlie Mulgrew, seriously, I don't think the bookie could have held back Kevin McCauley and David Mooney. If they'd have given it for an OG, they had to pay out. They had to pay out.
The ball's gone in the net anyway, regardless.
Aye, but
No,
apparently,
I don't know how it works.
and I'll tell you why I know this. I'm in dispute with the bookies online. And they go by, in their terms and conditions, certainly Ladbrokes, they go with the Press Association, because I had a bet on a couple of weeks ago, right, and it was Gareth Bale to score 2 goals, and he scored 1, and the second one was given to him, but it was subsequently given as an OG by the Press Association. So I'm in dispute trying to get my money, because as far as I'm concerned, it was like that. It was a bit like Mulgrew's. The intent was it was a shot and goal, took a deflection roughly. So,
Aye.
but that was a good lift for the boys as well, wasn't it?
It was quite funny because I ended up sticking all my notes in the top of my head, and everybody was just looking at me if I was daft in that lounge, but things don't change.
There's a lot of heat there to stick notes on there. A lot of space.
There is plenty of space, Brian, trust me, it doesn't grow where it's busy.
So in terms of the game, he started off with Forster, You had Isagiri, Ambrose, Wilson, Mulgrew, Lustig, Commons, Ledley, Kyle, Stokes and Hooper. And we got off to a lightning start.
Flyer.
12.2 seconds Chris Commons scored, which is the fastest, it's either the fastest goal ever, certainly this season.
Fastest goal in SPL history.
No,
SPL.
I'm sure Big Chris Sutton scored in 9 seconds at Ibrox.
No, this is it.
Is this the fastest ever?
No, that would have been the SPL. 1998 became SPL, so that's the fastest ever in the SPL.
That's what they
Is
say,
it?
Johnny.
12.2.
I thought Big Sutton scored. Maybe no, maybe wrong.
So what was your thoughts on the game, Peter? Off to a
Off to a flyer.
fantastic start.
Brilliant.
By the way, we missed the goal.
We seen the goal. We seated. We're seated for a goal. Seen the goal. But we didn't see the Aberdeen goal because we were doing still trying to snaff all the pies, put them on the table.
I got one.
I saw
Kevin
that, I
brought
saw
one
the
up.
telly, I saw
to
it
my
on the big
side.
screen.
Saw it later on. Big Kevin Molson, am I correct? Made a hurler.
Think he was fouled?
No,
No.
too soft.
I've not seen it on the TV.
I've
But
saw
at the
TV.
game,
he was
even his appeal was kind of half-hearted.
Half-hearted.
And I didn't think it was a foul. I thought it was, from memory, it was just a wee nudge.
Just brushed him aside.
But actually,
We're cruising,
I thought he was behind him, and I thought he kind of shoved him from behind, as opposed to
I'm not
shoving
seeing
him
it on
off the
TV.
ball.
Oh, was they? I wouldn't have said that, Vincent.
It's typical that the team we've been talking about it a while. They get into this kind of cruise mode. This kind of they go to the early goal and then they expect to get a second goal and then they get the second goal and then they lost a goal just before half time and then they come out after half time and they lost 2 goals and then you're going like this. Here we go again, but you've got to credit for the fight back after 3-1. You've got to give them that, But frustrating team. That's my view of the team. I think they're very frustrating team.
Johnny?
They're scoring some amount of goals at home, but
Aye.
the defending in the weekend was pathetic. If he's to see it again and have a chance to look at the highlights, honestly, it's not good enough. The
It
defending.
was pretty poor.
Brian, you've said you've never seen the first goal, but he did. He didn't.
It's terrible.
As you see, his appeal was even bad, and the goalkeeper, I thought he was suspect.
Well, that's the first time. That was the first time you really had questions around Forster. But you're right. I think there maybe a few goals the last few weeks. There's been question marks. He would have been
There's
saving
been a
it.
lot he went under his body.
A few people I've spoke to have says that he could have done better with the Juventus game. I know it's well away, well out the road. I don't think he had any chance. If we were talking about the first goal at Celtic Park, I don't think there was a lot he could have done with that. But there's a few people have says to me ever since this England call-up thing, he's not really been at his best. But at the
I
same
think
time,
it's from that injury.
Aye.
He's not been at his
well,
best.
that's true, because he just come back in for the game before Juventus, didn't he?
Aye.
Up at Inverness.
Aye.
He's looked droppy since he was injured. Definitely since he came back.
And it is, I would agree as well, that it seems to be getting down. That's a
Is that what injured?
Problem.
Is that what he got his head?
no, it was apparently it was a
neck?
pill he was using
That's right,
abroad,
that's
and
what it was.
it hurt
That's what it
his,
He never took his own.
hurt his neck.
Just wondering.
I've done that actually. It's funny that I've
It's a
done
big
that.
heavy head he's got as well. So.
Big lad, eh?
But your body does get used to that kind of
Aye.
your sleep position if you're away in a hotel or whatever it is. That is true. I'm telling you.
We don't want to know your sleeping positions in the hotels, Vincent.
I can see the folks sitting
Too much
listening to this
detail.
going like, what's he talking about?
Like most weeks.
It's not true. It's not true.
Why Vincent's not really a big laddie.
So we're sitting, we're 3-1 down.
It was great.
I'm the only one that's,
an
I'm the only one that's
atmosphere.
calm and excited because I'm
Well-
thinking, hold on, my 4-3's looking not too bad here.
I had Luke, my wee boy, doesn't really like football, and as it turned out on Saturday, he needed to come with me because my wife was out, and he wasn't really looking forward to it. But to get him to that game for someone that's not really interested in the way our season tickets are, we've got 4 seats and then the 3 seats for the kids in front of us. And I just clocked him a couple of times, see when it started singing Celtic, Celtic, and I clocked him just singing, starting to sing, and I'm like, good on you, wee man, you're beauty.
Planted to see.
And then when Big Sammy scored the goal in injury time, it was him and his 2 cousins, and he was looking, he didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And but he was absolutely delighted, and it was just the excitement. So it was good. I know for 70 minutes we were awful, but getting that wee bit of excitement at Celtic Park was great for me, and for the reason that Luke was there, and I said to him after the game, do you see how your dad loves football and how it can be exciting? And you could tell his face, he really enjoyed it, so it was good from that perspective. Footballing wise, I think
it might have been Homeboys I was listening to, but it was one of the podcasts I was listening to, and somebody mentioned this Celtic team, well, they're fragile, Peter, and we all agree that when they get that momentum behind them, they're a hard force to stop. I mean, it was just wave upon wave of attacks, and actually, I think the last goal was scored that was pretty much
94th minute.
Was it 3 minutes at the injury time or whatever?
Over 3.
And they just weren't for getting up. So you saw them in the third goal, or thinking, right, let's just go for it. So you've got to admire that. But
it's the first time they've done it, isn't it, this season, really. They've had chances to come back for games, and at Celtic Park especially, we've been doing 2-0 a couple of times, I'm sure. We get beat with, 1-0 it was with St Johnson, 2 with Kilmarnock. And we've seen the days that you would say, oh, well then, let's go, let's do it. And you're expecting the 3, but they just never happened that
never
way.
got it.
But it was good for that team to get that, especially with this semi-final coming up, because they're going to have to fight to the death to that. That is a big cup for us, that.
It was nice to see Big Sammy in a summit.
He doesn't celebrate goals. He
doesn't celebrate goals, man.
Do you know, that was great seeing that as well. The way he celebrated the goal as well was fantastic.
Did you clock the guy across who was doing the... Well, no, you were sitting in the seats. You clocked the guy doing a McKeever moment.
No, what was that?
No, see the boy, you mind him, Brian? When we went to 3-1.
Lennon, get that team. You should be sacked. This is a disgrace. Absolute disgrace.
The other boys are sitting like that. Next time 3-2. You still shoot.
Back at this.
3 each. Next time 4-3. The boys out. See.
At least he was there to see it. Some of the guys a bit as had left.
For a lot of the home games, see, for a bit of excitement, I know you don't want that to happen every week, but to go 3-1 down and then come back, it's pretty exciting, do you know what I mean? So from that point of view, I quite enjoyed it. It made our day in a way, didn't it?
And I'm no Craig Brown's biggest fan either, so and Archie Knox as well. Apparently he was livid.
I bet he was.
So that was quite pleasing.
I think Craig Brown is due.
He was actually.
Two right down the middle, and he played the 2 wide men with pace against Celtic, and it pushed Celtic back the way. You know what I mean? I just like to see teams like Aberdeen. They came and gave it a go. Like many teams we see coming to Parkhead and just sit back. The Celtic scored and they don't come out today. And I thought Aberdeen went forward, which was a good thing to see.
They have done. They've actually been done well against us over the last few years, Aberdeen. They've had a few good victories at Celtic Park. But
They've had a few good defeats as well. 9-0
and 6s, but they have sort of come up with a few results. If you can think back to the winning goal, on the highlights at night, they highlighted it. There were 5 Aberdeen in the wall.
What were they doing that for? It was clearly not going to shoot, and they put 5 in the wall.
And he's crossed the ball, and I'm sure it was Samaras that won the ball.
No, it was Lassad.
It was
just because they look at him.
I was going to say 2 substitutions made all the difference in Saturday. Samaras and Lassad.
I
was impressed with Lassad.
And I've liked to look at him. I think he just needs time to settle. I think once he settles, he'll be a cracking player. Hopefully.
We've got him for 2 seasons, haven't we?
We bought him.
So I don't know what.
It was a 2-year contract.
Oh, I couldn't
3 years.
It's a 3-year contract.
It'll be alright come the next couple of weeks when the weather changes. You'll see a difference in him.
What nationality is he?
Moroccan.
Is he Moroccan?
No, it's Miku's Venezuelan, isn't it?
I think he's Moroccan.
He can go anytime. No.
Well, interesting. I was standing outside the main stand before the game, and Miku came out into his car, total huff, shot away. Aye. So I don't know if he was expecting to be on the bench or expecting to be playing, but he did not look happy at all.
The sad thing is, I've seen just very, very small glimpses of something. He does look.
See the night we played Barcelona at
He
home.
was outstanding.
He played well that night.
I did,
Great.
He was brilliant that night.
Holding the ball up.
Which is quite
in
ironic,
between.
actually.
Aye.
It's quite ironic against a team like that, but actually he's used to playing a team like that. It was almost as if
He was asked to do a certain job, which
He'd
was
done it well.
probably familiar to him.
That's what I
whereas-
tried to say is about, see Fiera played in the Juventus game at home and see how Hooper's getting thrown about like a rag doll with the defender. See him, he would have hit the deck every time. You would have got
Aye,
a penalty.
aye.
I'm telling you right now, because they know how to do it right. You know how we,
Aye.
our mentality
Aye.
isn't to what their mentality is. They
Aye,
just hit
they
the
do.
deck. See if he was getting through about and standing in front of the goalkeeper, he'd have hit that deck every time. He would have eventually got a penalty.
They were
I
that bad at
guaranteed
it,
it.
you couldn't hit the deck. That's how much they were holding you.
Aye.
You couldn't
They
hit
were
the
holding
deck.
you up.
But Johnny, but he's used to that.
I know.
He would know how to manipulate better for himself, you know what I'm talking about?
I think we spoke about this last week, but I sympathise with him a wee bit, because you just think any time other than Barcelona and the odd other time, any other time he's put him in is usually away to Ross County or Inverness, and you're thinking, you know, it's light years away from what he's used to, and probably knowing a role that he's very good at.
We also don't see what he does during the week, but at training.
Aye.
That comes out, you know.
Definitely. I mean, it's just a pity actually, because I just think there's something there. I don't think he's a brilliant player by any stretch of imagination, but there seems to be something
He's
there.
got a nice touch, Vincent.
Aye.
Everyone's controlled. See when the ball comes to him, everyone's like a sharp touch and he's away.
What about Hooper on Saturday?
I thought Hooper was shocking Saturday.
I
I
thought
can't
he was
believe
terrible.
they took him off other than.
I took Stokes off.
Took Stokes off instead of him.
I was the same.
Off, Vincent. Sorry, Brian, you could have took the two of them off, in my opinion. The two of them
I
could
thought
have
at
been
least
half.
Stokes was trying. He wasn't.
Well, that's what I thought he was
wasn't
showing,
brilliant, but
and he was trying to get by
Yeah.
the man. But I thought Hooper was
Hooper's
terrible.
Hooper, I think the
Absolutely
guy's talking about
disgraceful.
who's already
Aye.
moved.
Aye.
And he's mentally he's moved already.
And we missed big Wanyama in the middle of the park Saturday.
I've got
as
a
well.
theory about the defence, and I know we're talking about the defence looking a bit ropey and the goalkeeper. I
Aye.
actually think it's more to do with the midfield in front of them.
Aye.
I actually think it's
Aye,
more to
there's
do
no
with
protection.
either Wanyama not being there or maybe Brown as well. Although I don't know that Brown gives them that much protection, but I think it's more to do with that, because actually I think Kayal's just a bit of a sand dancer. Do you know, it just doesn't do it for me. He kind of looks the part sometimes, but actually I don't think he's that effective.
I'm going to agree with you there, because I thought Kyle was going to be a great player. He was going to be an enforcer, but he doesn't hit you. He gets he fouls and gets booked.
Aye,
He just well
gets
booked him in
booked.
the tunnel.
He's not clever enough, Johnny.
And they tried to do McCulloch, and ever since McCulloch done him, he's never kicked a ball for Celtic. Although he was out for a while with an injury.
I liked him when he came.
I thought he was going to be a bit of an enforcer, but I don't think he's as hard as we think he,
I think he's
as we
got-
thought he was going to be.
I thought there's a lot of substance there. Do you know what I mean? I think that's what I was with him. I think there's something.
I feel like we're just chopping and changing midfield all the time. We've not got it settled.
Well-
Why are you playing? You know what I mean? We're chopping and changing. I know Brown's been out injured and Wanyama's been out injured and all, and Ledley was out injured, and then Kyle was out. And they don't seem to have a settled way.
Well, why don't with the reason? All right, we've maybe loads of games to play, and we was obviously we can't complain about the Champions League and how far we got or whatever, and changing team personnel for the league games, but no 4 and 5 changes a game. No way. It's
That's
just no
too
need
many,
it.
Johnny.
I mean,
agree
if
with you.
We spoke about that before.
If Joe Ledley's left sided, isn't he fit? Bring in Commons, vice versa, Browns. I mean, you know.
Aye, when you're changing, exactly, no wholesale changes, no 6 and 7 players being changed
Exactly,
in the
because
from
remember-
one game to the next. Bring in one or two.
Remember last year as well, we went to Aberdeen, we went on a great run, and they pulled this and that, you know, and they ended up getting beat, and we went in a stinker of a run after that, and we ended up losing the semi-final.
Aye. No, I would agree with that.
I mean, Martin O'Neill, although no harking back to him, very rarely he would, no matter who he
Just
was
change
playing,
it for change it. But
injuries.
again, I can sympathise with the point of view of the size of the squad, and you want to give everybody. But I think you're right. You keep a core, and you maybe tinker with 2 or 3 a game. Maybe.
Aye.
Well, even you don't even need to keep a core. You just have two. You say you'll no change any more than 2 if possible from one game to the next.
I honestly think they're
Doesn't-
they're
can be
coming
a
up
different
with
two.
phantom injuries themselves. At times.
I also think that you wouldn't have a day change of them who should not be named were in the league if they were chasing us and they were pushing us.
I agree with you 100%.
You know, you'd be playing with a stronger team every week. You wouldn't be playing. You wouldn't be farting about 6 or 7
But
changes.
the other thing is, we don't actually know. You're right. We don't know what's going on during it. You don't know who's got a wee niggle. You don't know who's got a wee personal issue. He's not going to come out and say that. So sometimes there will be changes there that he'll just not announce. But I don't think you should be changing it unless
There's too many changes at one time now.
And saying that, I know, I read somewhere in his defence, he has said he's already preparing for the Champions League qualifier, which will be in the middle of July.
Are they going to get a fortnight off or something?
It's not going to be a
No bit
long
much more than that. It'll be 3 weeks. So if we get to the Scottish Cup final and it's a big
Is that
game
a Sunday?
coming up,
That's a Sunday.
they'll-
It's
so
26.
it's the end of May, and they'll be back in training.
But
But
there's
the
an
third,
international something
right
after
after
that.
The week after it.
right?
And then they were talking on the radio for pre-season for that. If you worked back for when we play first, you're talking at least 5 weeks. So it left about a week.
That's no time off.
3 weeks is plenty for them
I
anyway.
don't think they're going to get that, but Johnny, someone on the international.
No, I don't think they will.
Did Scott Brown get an operation?
I think he's had it. I don't know. It's never been confirmed.
I've never heard, so I was just asking.
Because
In case
the last I
somebody's
heard, they said that he would be back. He could be back, before the end of the season. So I just presumed he'd had this operation.
Right.
Well, you've not Brown for most of the season as well. You've not James Forrest for most of the season as well. They're carrying injuries all season.
That was the thing I noticed.
Adam Matthews here, another one.
Another one's
goalkeeper.
He's in and out injured quite a lot now.
Aye,
I think maybe if
hefted
you've got anything, any wee niggle is at all, you're out.
Aye, they're pulling you.
Aye. And do you know what? That's probably the
Probably.
right thing to do as well from
When
the
you
player's
can.
perspective,
When you can,
and the fact that we can. It might not be from a fan's perspective. And there's also what we talk about, no too many changes. We went up to Inverness, which I thought was a difficult game, and they made 8 changes or 9 changes.
That's brilliant.
And we gubbed them.
Played really well,
Aye.
Twice.
So
Played really well,
it's, I suppose,
Okay.
we maybe just pick up on it when the teams, when there's so many changes and have struggled, rather than
Basically, what we know about football is dangerous.
that's why
Well,
we
always
were,
get back round
This is
to
why
that.
we're on podcast.
aye, we were no managers.
Opinions, isn't it? mate?
Well, the last thing on the Aberdeen game was I noted the substitutes, and the fifth substitute was a guy called Atajic, Atajic. Anybody heard of him? Who is that? Who is it?
Yeah, he plays under 20s.
Is that a young?
He's high centre forward. He's scoring all the goals in the, would you call it, under
I
20
don't
league.
think he's Scottish. I don't think he's a foreigner.
No.
Huh?
Well, all I'll say is, see the last time I went to pick up tickets and I was at the reception, he was getting a taxi, East Kilbride, right? And it was McCart was there talking to him, Chris
Right.
McCart, and I just took with the twang of the voice. He wasn't certainly
No,
broad
no.
Scottish, but he might be a family that's came here. Yeah,
No,
you know what I'm talking about.
one of the kids at the game on Saturday said where he was from.
All right.
I think he's.
It just
he's no
struck me
Czech.
because it's a
He's
really
no Czech
unusual
Republic
name.
or something,
Atajic.
Brian.
Twardics, they're Czech Republic, I think.
Maybe it sounds kind of like that. Maybe get that kind of twang.
I think he's a great player.
He came in and then he went away, he
The
fell
older
away
one,
again.
is it Philip?
That's
Philip?
another thing I was going to say. What about Tony Watt?
Tony Watt was that? Well,
He's in, he's out. Is he back at this Nando's or what?
we've heard. You hear all sorts of rumours about him, you know, but
So what? I've not heard these
I
rumours.
hope none of it's true. Aye, there was just talk. It was an attitude talk.
attitude
Talked about-
problem.
Right.
Billy Big Boy, you know.
All right. Okay.
Oh, that's
Oh, yeah, you
Well,
just
I
hope
take it
none
the
of it's-
managers get go and talk
Okay.
it.
Tajik's Swedish.
Swedish. Henrik Larsson.
Aye, so we hope Tony Watt's just.
Aye.
I actually thought I wouldn't see that much of him this season. As much as I wanted to, I didn't expect to see loads of him. Maybe a bit more than we have. But
He's been playing in the under 20s in the last 2 or
Has he,
3
eh?
weeks. Aye, Tony Watt.
because he's not been on the bench that often, I don't think.
No,
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 he's
way
been
back at
playing
the
under
start of the
20s.
season,
Yeah.
he played in that tournament at Firhill, and it was Paul Larkin and them and the homeboys that they were in watching the tournament, and they were saying that it looks awful like he was going to go out on loan if he didn't change his attitude.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, he's up at Inverness banging goals in, then he's scoring against Barcelona, then he's getting a wee run in the team, he scored at Love Street, a cracker,
Yeah.
and then he's fell away again.
Maybe
The young
that's
guy
how
at
he's.
18, and maybe Lennon is saying, here you.
Aye.
But he's also maybe like Twardziek. Maybe that's the way he's going to do it. Maybe that's the way he gives them a taste. pulls them right back out again and then brings them. I don't know.
Well, I hope if they get the league finished, we see more
We'll see some
laddies
young
in
laddies,
that
aye.
under 20 team.
Well, I thought they should have put that to see guys like that, Philip Tadrick and Tony Watt forever. What's wrong with them getting games under their belt?
Yeah.
They could have went and played with somebody like Dundee.
As the other brother know at Dundee is Kilmarnock.
Brian, you can't be experienced like that.
Dundee, John Brown.
Brown's manager.
First man to go over grab.
Before he came.
Pack your bags,
Before
get
he
to.
came. Just use him as an example.
Allegedly.
Is that true? Eh?
Well, that's what I felt.
So we heard.
Oh well, you guys will know.
Okay, and our next game, obviously, it's International Week, so our next game is St.Mirren. This has been moved to the Sunday, 12:45 kick-off. It was 3 o'clock on the Saturday, but they've moved it to the Sunday. But we reckon we can't win the week of that game, Brian.
No.
We
We
definitely
could have, if we'd have won at Fair Park, right?
Well, how many how many games points have we dropped? We could have if we hadn't dropped points at Ross County or blah 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 blah.
No, it was just going to Fair Park that night. Somebody mentioned it.
28 points on drop.
I mean, when we spoke a month ago when we were playing
It was
Ross
Paul
County,
Larkins, it was Paul
we were
Larkins'
going to
big
be
one.
saying about we could win the league at Ross County. Mind? And that was only 5 weeks ago. We were saying we've dropped so many points in the past.
Aye, it could have been
And
done.
Motherwell have went in a wee run and picked up a number of points, but no, we can't win it. To answer your question, we can't win it against St Mirren because we're 15 ahead now. That would us, if the results went our way, we would be 18 points ahead with 6 games left.
Right.
So it would potentially come down to goal difference.
But,
So
I'll take it as we've won it then.
we've won it. You can take it now as we've won it.
No,
Again.
I wanted to win it at Love Street.
well, I didn't want to win it during
No, I
Lent,
want to
but
win
Aye, Celtic Park.
oh, that would have been
Park,
fine. The Sunday would have been fine, because
But even winning it, we need to win against St Mirren, and we would need to beat Hibs and Hope. Motherwell have dropped something
Points per end.
by the Hibs game.
so we can win it against Hibs, but we're relying on Motherwell dropping something in
Yeah.
the next 2 games. Who have they got? Do you know?
I don't. Sorry, Vincent. I
Thought you
thought you were the host.
you might have prepped that,
We all
aye.
got preparation.
thought
Aye.
you might have
Have you got the
prepped
league
that.
table there?
Yeah, the table's here.
Aye. What's that? It tells you there. Oh, you forgot it again.
So what do you think? Anybody watch the cup final?
Yes.
I was quite pleased for St Mirren actually.
It was.
That's I was delighted for them. You seen the difference in the players' reaction. They weren't interested in any money.
Yeah.
They were just interested in the medal.
Aye.
The big guy used to play with the team
Played
that
with
no
Seth
longer exists.
Stephen
You
Thompson.
seen? You could tell his reaction that he genuinely is a St Mirren
Did
supporter.
Mark Goodwin play with Celtic?
Aye, Jim Goodwin, aye.
Is it? He never played with the
No.
first team, no. He was at
No.
Celtic, wasn't he?
Aye, he was at Celtic, aye.
The hang up, but it was they should have been they should have been dead. Very
For half time, I heard that. I didn't see it. I was
saw
through in
some,
Edinburgh, but
But in the second half, you want to see the goal, the run with the boy for the third goal, wasn't it?
Brilliant.
It was a great
1-2,
goal.
oh.
Brilliant.
Excellent stuff.
I was quite
Great
happy
day.
it was Hearts got gubbed.
Oh.
See, when it was at 3-1, and I think St Mirren had a couple of chances. I was driving back from Edinburgh listening to it on the radio. I'm like, it would just be great if St Mirren won 5-1. 'Cause, no, I'm the biggest liker or lover of Hibs, but what they put up with since the Scottish Cup final where they got gubbed, I would have liked a wee bit payback for the Edinburgh Huns.
I'm going to say there's some crowd of them. Hearts.
Aye.
They did nearly 28,000 or something.
Aye, but that's it, where are they? They can't have 13 every week, but then 28 when they've got a cup final.
But actually,
And St Mirren as
they mentioned on one of the radio shows of just about the advantages. One of the other advantages of Rangers being deep is the chances for teams like this.
Aye.
Do you know,
Aye.
to win cups. When else would they have? You know, would Rangers and Celtic have been out of the cup? It's been highly
Few and far
unlikely
between.
for that kind of final to occur. So again, it's clubs like that aren't they missing them? Definitely.
Surely
no.
not.
It gives them their best chance to.
They're named missing them. If any fans of any other club that I speak to.
No.
They're all missing
Nobody.
themselves.
It's only their crowd that's missing them. The 30,000 don't turn up every week.
But I don't think we need them.
We do.
Well, we're doing
we
it,
do.
we're
If we
doing-
don't, with all that, we need to move. That's what I said last week. We need to move then. If we don't get Rangers, we need to move.
I don't know.
Did you see that plan was floated with Qatar? They were, what do you call it, talking about starting up a league, and they were going to give every team in it £187 million to win the league.
Is that right?
Right, but there were a guy for the Times who wrote all this, right?
Yeah.
But it's a spoof off a French website, and they were talking about it in Talk Sport this morning, and they can't believe that this guy is experienced as a journalist has been caught out like this, right?
To go.
But unknown, this is the start of it. Next season, after the World Cup, they want to have a summer tournament and invite, like, obviously, who's all sponsored? Barcelona, PSG, you know what I mean? See all the teams like that. They're going to have a weekend of mini tournament in the air-conditioned stadiums. And
they have any of that?
What kind of money? This is where the way that you can run. Say how they're talking about the fair, what they earn. Now, Platini's brought in, they can only spend what so this is a way to pump money into these teams, because they'll come and play in this tournament
and get paid a fortune.
Well, Celtic getting it. What a trip that'll be.
Aye.
I'm up for that.
Qatar.
Okay, guys, thank you very much for that.
Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, 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 tock.
Okay, welcome back. Remember that you can get in touch via Twitter, Facebook, our website, and our email address, which is, Brian?
Gmail.
Which isn't Gmail, which is mail@carluikshamrock.com. So we've got a couple of hot topics and a few announcements just to make. There are a few tales from Wee Oscar for Life, the Cycle to Belfast event. And by all accounts, it was eventful to say the least. Over 100 cyclists took part. One cyclist was admitted to A&E, suffering from hypothermia. There were a few broken hands, and there was crashes into canals, apparently. One driver apparently forgot there were bikes on his roof, drove into an underground car park, hitting the height barrier on the way in. We'll not mention who it was. I don't know who it was.
Helen.
But after a successful conclusion, Wee Oscar's dad, Stephen, took some of the organisers through to Belfast City Hall, where the Deputy Mayoress of Belfast placed them at the front of the St Patrick's Day parade, much to their humble embarrassment. The team's initial target of £10,000 has been completely blown away. Their online Just Giving total is already £27,000, which is amazing. Major companies like Oracle have committed to doubling the donations of individual team members, and countless sponsor forms have still to be collected. So a stunning effort, Brian.
Unbelievable. And it was up at 28k this afternoon.
Is that right?
So it's just astonishing amount of money. That's well over 100k that Celtic fans through the Wee Oscar for Life have raised. It's just amazing. We raised 30 odd k at the bucket collection, and 28k, I think, 27k at the race night, and we had a quiz night, and it's unbelievable amount. I've seen some of the photographs of the cycle, and it was like here, there was 2 inches of snow. Jeez. And they're cycling through this, kids as well. Unbelievable. I know one guy had a very, very close thing with a lorry as well, and you know, so it was nearly disastrous, but a fantastic achievement and dedication, because they were cycling from everywhere. It was from Glasgow, Leeds, Dublin, Roscommon, and Deleek, which I had never heard of. It's a place in Ireland, and just unbelievable, fantastic achievement. The dedication of the guys, and I've got the privilege of knowing many of them, and having worked with them on some stuff. So, well done, everyone.
Well done, everybody.
And ladies.
Yep. A couple more announcements. Just another reminder. Probably is a sellout by now, but we have the Willie McLean Memorial Night on Friday the 19th of April. Tickets £5. That's the best £5 you'll ever spend,
Will be, yes. Yes, it'll be fantastic.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, and the Bampot book launch is 6th of April, after the Hibs match, when hopefully we'll also be celebrating winning the league. And one other final announcement, a shout out to our Bosnian friend Dubravko Tomic, who has been back in touch with the show. Hail, hail, Dubravko. Apparently, now, he bumped into Tim's from Shetland while he was at the recent Juventus game in Turin. And guess what they asked him about? Tic Talk.
No way.
Yes. How global is this podcast? That's it. Saw Jen. It came for the boss. I mean, he's not going to tell us any lies.
Oh, no, he will not, no. Where is Richard anyway? He's Colin and Justin still in.
He's still decorating. He would love to be with us. Actually, I gave him an invite today to be a pundit. So I'm sending a challenge out to the boss to be a pundit on the show.
A panellist.
So he can actually give us his thoughts. So we'll see what happens. His wisdom. That's because he does. He's very disciplined, so he doesn't give us his views when he's hosting.
Unlike
he can't shut me up. But he's very disciplined, so it'll be quite interesting. So that's a challenge to the boss. Come and be a
Will it be War and
panellist.
Peace for Richard?
Ooh, I don't know.
Will it be this century?
I think
Will we ever see him again?
I think we will. I think we'll see him sooner rather than later.
He's
a busy man. Busy man.
Well, he sent me his itinerary for this evening, and there was about 12 things. I says, right, that takes you up to 8:30. So what are you doing after that?
I know. He keeps telling us sleep's overrated.
Exactly.
He was at his Kung Fu tonight. That's
part of it.
Kung Fu.
He's picking up and dropping off children in his painting rooms, I think.
Kung Fu, and then he was meeting Colin and Justin for a wee chat on the cushions for
to go with his duck blue emulsion.
I could throw a wee curveball in here. He's got a problem with a story cheater.
He has. There's a bit of
That been sorted,
problem.
That'll be sorted tomorrow.
Nice one.
And he's got a problem with a car as well, with turbo. And his car, there's a bit of an issue.
That's it.
Just so that the listeners know what's happening with the
Two brothers
host.
that are right after that.
Aye. That's his main problem. So if you want any other further updates, just mail us at carluckshamrock.com and we'll keep you posted on what Richard's up to. Well, he's not here.
Or you could log on to the webcam, which is in his house.
Two words out of my mouth there.
Let's webcam.
We'll give you the IP address after the show.
A head cam. Why don't we get a head cam so he can just... So
No.
on top of his...
No, come on.
Okay, next on my agenda is Scotland versus Wales, but the panellists have just told me, we don't want to talk about that, this is a Celtic podcast, is that right?
We were
There's maybe a few Celtic
How
players
was
involved.
Scotland well?
Yeah.
Wish
I
Scotland
hope
well,
Scotland
and we
win.
wish the Celtic players that's playing with Scotland
And playing
they
with
will-
Wales.
And they will be
come back on
Joe
injured.
Ledley,
And Matthews is out.
Matthews won't be playing, Charlie Mulgrew,
Charlie Mulgrew, Chris Commons.
Chris Commons,
Was we Forrest in it?
Oh,
Forrest
he was, he's withdrawn obviously.
Right.
aye, he's injured.
Wish
Anybody
we
else?
tracking well. I wish
Good,
the
yeah.
manager.
Aye.
We got
That's right, I forgot all about it. Aye.
Forgot who the manager was.
Forgot that
What's your views on the Friday night games?
Actually, do you know what? I'm actually quite looking forward to it because
because you're not going.
We went to Merchant City last time to watch them play.
did
I remember the Wales
So
game.
weird.
Well, it's down in Cardiff.
Beat 2-1, aye.
we're no. There's
No,
no
we're
plans
talking
for
about
us.
Celtic had their Friday night game.
I wouldn't mind if I
They're
wouldn't
playing
mind the
by
odd one.
SPL with the Friday
Aye,
night
they're still
games.
doing
yeah.
a few of them.
Well, there were 5,000
There's one at Fir Park the other night,
last
'cause I
Friday
did
night.
that.
There were 5,000 at the game.
Is there?
Aye, I don't see anything wrong with it.
We had a
Friday night, if you're
game
not
before.
travelling.
Big
distances.
Hampden, remember, with
well,
the Friday
in fact,
night
it'd be
game at
better
Hampden.
enough Wednesday night, if you know what I mean.
Aye.
Well,
And I think
a lot of people
Ollie
know what
Faulkner
it's
scored in
That's
that game.
it.
Sorry?
We had a Friday night game at Hampden one year.
Is that the Dryborough Cup, Brian? You'd get
No,
back.
Oh, they do,
no,
yeah.
no, I think it was the season we had to depart earlier to Hampden and we had a Friday night game. Wally Faulkner scored.
Aye. We had a Friday night game way back the 4-2 season. We played St.Mirren at Ibrox on the Friday night.
So we did.
St.Mirren was getting, don't know, there must have been a new stand built or part of it was getting knocked down.
We were in the, what do you call it, we were in the main stone at Ibrox,
Aye,
that's right.
Celtic played them at Ibrox.
Is that
1-1.
against Falkirk?
No,
No,
St.
St. Mirren. Aye.
The game got played at Ibrox.
Okay, so we're
Right,
wishing
yes,
Scotland good luck, particularly Gordon Strachan.
aye,
and all the
definitely.
Celtic players.
Gordon
Mark
Strachan,
McGee.
yeah.
Oh,
Mark
One
McGee.
of them win. What to say, dude? One
Mark
of them
McGee's
win.
eyeliner.
They've been able.
I'll be watching it.
They've been no World Cup, but all the best. Hope
Oh, I'll
that
watch
gives-
it as well. I'll watch it. Aye.
I'm a Scottishman, through and through. Okay,
I'd like to think so.
our next hot topic, Gavin Masterton, Bank of Scotland, David Murray, Dunfermline, Rangers, Jimmy Calderwood, Chris Sutton. Brian,
Man,
talk to me.
No, we better explain what was said on Saturday when we were all at the match.
Tell us all about it, Peter.
so
In Radio Scotland. He was on Radio Scotland on
Aye.
Saturday. On the
I was listening to it. I was driving down
Aye, I was
to
listening
get
to
the
it
bus.
myself.
Must have been off the ball. What was off the ball?
That was-
Aye, it was with Tam Cowan and Stuart
Yes.
Cosgrove, and it couldn't have been better because Stuart Cosgrove picked up on it
Clocked it right
straight
away.
away
Aye, he did.
and just started asking the questions and getting
Subtly.
more and more out of him.
Actually, Jimmy Calder was not the brightest.
No,
Well, he was. He was. I never heard it all.
Right,
Only
he's
heard a
a- he's a-
segment of it.
So
Feeling it.
what Jimmy Calder was, because he was talking about Dutch football and how he got over here, and he kind of went into the story. Then I got a call from Mr. Murray, and he thought he was coming over to get the Rangers job, and then it was explained, no, we want you to go to
What
Dunfermline
he
with
said
a
was-
view
Aye.
to come into
What he
Rangers.
said is he put me in place. That's what
Aye.
he said. He said he put me in place at
Mr. Murray is friends with Gavin Masterton
yeah.
at Dunfermline, and he wanted to put me there. He wanted to put me there with a view to progressing on to be the manager of Rangers in time. So Stuart Cosgrove was great, and they caught up in it. But I think, in terms of why you brought it up, I assume, Vincent, is just the whole Chris Sutton after 2003 league title, when that was a Sunday game because we had just been to Seville,
That's right.
back from Seville, and we were down at Kilmarnock, and the Huns were playing Dunfermline at Ibrox.
Ibrox.
Dunfermline players, whole squad, were out for a piss-up a couple of nights before that game, and then they were all flying for a fully paid holiday after the game, fully paid by the club.
Yep.
So, as you can imagine, their minds might not quite have been on that game of football that day. And then it comes to light that Jimmy Calderwood, manager of Dunfermline, was put in place in that role by the owner of Rangers, who his friend was a director and financier was a director at Dunfermline. It's just unbelievable. Sorry, it's not unbelievable. It's what we kind of always knew. There was things going on and
But
things
I
that
don't know
we
if
couldn't
you, I
see.
don't know if you subsequently heard the next night or the 2 nights later
I
when
didn't.
you had that bastion of truth, Billy Dodds, and they got Jimmy Calderwood.
EBT Dodds?
They got Jimmy Calderwood back on to further explain it.
All right.
So and Jimmy was explaining, and Billy was telling us, that's how football works. That's what happens, you kind of, you get jobs because you know people, and then even McIntyre, who's not the
Tap them
best, he was saying, McIntyre was saying, but actually he's put him into place on the understanding there's a right good chance he'll then be put in place at Rangers. Do you think that's a bit, see, Kenny, you don't understand football. That's what happens, And Jimmy Calderwood still tiny selling knots, thinking, I'm not quite sure what I was supposed to say, and take what I was trying to say to you was, and Jimmy just talking a pile of crap,
rubbish.
trying to backtrack it. In actual fact, it absolutely stunk to high heavens. And I'll tell you, and mostly because of this Gavin Masterton, who's the guy, as Brian has told us earlier, who signed off all the checks at the Bank of Scotland. He's the guy with...
That's kind of been widely known that he was
Exactly.
the guy that helped. I've heard the quote, gave Murray 750 million in the strength of a handshake. That's a lot of cash. The other thing, there's been rumours and alleged that he was in all the other SPL clubs that banked with Bank of Scotland. He was a guy that held the power, if you like. So you've got, on the one hand, Bank of Scotland as a company, and this guy financing one club in Scottish football took a disadvantage of all other clubs in Scottish football.
But Chris,
That's how
By
they go
putting
into
pressure
that. That's how
on
they
some
go
clubs
into that state.
and being easy to deal with other
But if
clubs.
you often wondered how come Rangers got away with that.
when
It's
Lloyd's
this guy.
TSB came in, when they took out the Bank of Scotland, they looked at all this. That's why all these clubs have been asked to pay their debt back now, right? But he's got a thing set up there. He's got a £10 million loan for the Bank of Scotland at Dunfermline, right? Doesn't need to pay it back for over 40 years, right? And he only has to pay it back before that, Brian, if he sells the stadium.
Right.
Right, so you see Dunfermline as a club.
Aye.
There's a guy who works for me, he's in this past community thing, right?
Aye.
And he sends us all this bump about it all the time, right? I'll give you a wee mention, Scott, because I'll be quite delighted. I'll tell my listeners. But Scott says they went to see the past community thing, they went to the meeting about it all, right? And this Gavin Masterman, he's done them all. His two daughters are on the Dunfermline.
Now they
wage
own
bill.
the holding company for
They own, they own the
park.
wage bill. Aye.
They own the park. They own the stadium.
Aye, they own the lot.
This is a holding company.
There's
and his
four
daughter's
different
name.
things. There's 4 different companies involved in Dunfermline.
Aye.
It's unbelievable.
See, when I go back to that day, see Chris Sutton, right? Chris Sutton never once. I think that's the first time I ever heard them having an
They put a
interview.
microphone
Aye,
straight in
did
front
they?
of
You're
him.
right, Johnny. Aye.
So, him being a professional, they all know what's going on. So they must have known beforehand that they were all
it
out
was
to
widely
piss.
known about the piss up.
Right, well, I never knew about that.
I never knew about
Sorry,
that.
within I didn't
Within
either
the
at the
football
time within the
fraternity, aye.
football
I mean,
because
So he's not just said that
After
after the back, he's new. But that shows you how good a team they were, because Celtic thought they were better, that they could go out and just win that game anyway.
aye.
And I've seen that last penalty that Neil McCann got. I swear to God, I've never seen anything like it in my life. He actually turns around and looks at the referee, and the referee looks at him and points at the spot. It was never a penalty in 100 years.
Aye.
I mind Big Sutton that day, and I felt sorry for him. I felt sorry for all the Celtic players.
Aye, and know what? We've known so much cheating's went on, and they were cheating in that year through other means with dual contracts and which have been found guilty of
We
and
get robbed
unpunished.
We get robbed in the League Cup final.
Aye.
So we did, by the way,
We
Johnny,
get robbed.
right enough.
We get robbed. We were doing 2-0 and we come back into it. There's only got to be one winner, and I think it was Big Hearts that scored. Henrik Larsson passed the bottom. It was right in line with it.
That's right,
I'll
we
tell
got
you how
both
he was
jobs
never offside, because if he was offside, Henrik wouldn't have given him the ball. He would have scored himself.
Aye.
And,
No, you're right enough,
and then
John. I
we
got
get
game.
down to Anfield and beat Liverpool 2-0 on the Thursday night. After that,
So are we paranoid or are we not paranoid enough, Brian?
we're not
Well,
paranoid
I
enough.
think it's been proven.
I'm still paranoid.
Everything. Well, what's come out with we discussed at the last podcast with the Lord Nimmo Smith thing. These things will continue to come out about what happened all during that period. David Murray has been proven just to do what he wanted when he wanted, whichever way he wanted, and the rules didn't come into it. Whether they be the laws of the land or the laws of football, just didn't come into it.
supported. He drove on with support. All they were interested in was beating Celtic. They're not interested in anything else.
Well, I don't know. I think this all started, and I've heard you say this before, Johnny. This all started when Jockstein won the European Cup, and it's been a slow road, and David Murray just accelerated that. He was so determined to match that achievement. He wanted to beat 9 in a row, and he wanted to win the European Cup. He didn't beat 9 in a row, and he didn't come anywhere near winning the European Cup.
Oh, they go to the semi-final.
They were cheating. They were cheating.
Cheated my arse.
Him and Bernard Tappy couldn't even bear. They couldn't even cheat it.
They didn't get it together and cheat their
We
way
could
there.
have got a double dunter.
But actually, you know what? This and the Lord Nimmo Smith thing has just started, and plus we're going to come on to it. Plus the Green Brigade has started. Your Kevin said it last week. It's reignited me again, and I'm starting to think, oh no, I thought some of this, or a lot of this, was dealt with. It's very, very far from dealt with.
Oh, and you've got your man in the papers today saying, well, 4 or 5 weeks ago about league reconstruction. I'm wanting nothing to do with it. It's nothing to do with Rangers. We're not interested. That's a load of crap.
Who's this?
Chuckles. Chuck. Rent a quote. So he was in the day, he says, well, if you go ahead with us, we'll sure let Christ we can get in the second tier.
Aye. I heard he was trying to...
We'll pay all the third tier.
He's trying to bribe. He's trying to bribe the rest of Scottish football by saying we'll pay for 300 tickets. Is that every game, or is that just some games, or just the games?
I read something through the week. There's a route for fans that if they think there's corruption or any wrongdoings in any football associations, there's a route to write to FIFA now.
Aye, that's right, directly.
Directly. Because I don't think UEFA care.
No, we don't. And I read something last night about there's one of the Greek clubs, that George Samaras' agent, had tweeted something about one of the Greek clubs looking to leave Greek football due to the corruption.
Right.
And it was only a tweet, so it was 140 characters, and now you know as much about it as what I do, but I didn't get a chance to look into it again.
That's what I was saying earlier there about that thing about the journalists for the Times. I think there's a lot going to happen in the next couple of years. I think, see the money... Well, will you see that English Premier League, Johnny, see you think about it. Not one of them are in the quarter-finals of the Champions League.
Aye.
And the amount of money it's in English football.
It's an absolute disgrace. Chelsea and Manchester City, that not one of them even getting to the last 16. One of them never even into the UEFA Cup. It's an absolute joke.
And that's what I'm saying. I think there's a bigger picture going to happen in the next...
I hope so.
They're going to lose one of the places.
It implodes.
I hope they do.
The other thing about this was, and all this corruption and what you're saying right to UEFA, I've been a reasonable supporter of the Celtic board and Peter Lawwell, but I've just lost all patience now. I'm totally sick. Totally sick. The Lord Nimble Smith thing was endgame for me with this, and Celtic have been so weak, and I keep on hearing that they're doing stuff in the background. What can they say? They can't come out and make it our story and can't do things because it's not about us. Well, actually it is. Every one of us here invested for 10 or 11 years watching Celtic, watching us trying to win trophies honestly, try to win leagues honestly and try to win the cups honestly, while we were playing in an unlevel playing field. There was another team cheating the rules. The SFA, who governed the game, knew they were cheating because it was the same guy that was involved at the club as what was involved at the authorities.
Every team.
I would like.
Sorry, Brian.
I know every team. I'm a Celtic fan, and I know every team's the same.
I actually had this discussion with a boy for another football
team. Can I finish this?
On you go.
Because the point what I was going to make was we've all lost out in that. Every one of us, every Celtic fan and every fan of every other club in Scottish football, to some extent, has lost out. And there should be a class action.
I agree.
Which is the old the thing in the States where everybody puts in a small amount of money to pay for a lawyer, and we should get rid of the people in the SFA. They should never ever be allowed to be involved in football again. You see the guy that's president of the SFA, Campbell Ogilvie. He was instrumental in these things at Rangers,
and actually, I
he's
still think
still
he was instrumental.
there.
I think he was still instrumental in that whole thing as well.
And it's just it's really sickened me. I'm now
sick to the pit of my stomach.
With what happened last weekend with the Green Brigade as well. And again, I've been
we're going to come
I
on
love the Green Brigade. I will come on to it at the time.
I'm just
totally sick.
I know, but see, Brian's saying every other club suffered. Aye, they did, but we suffered at every other club.
Aye.
If we I can remember Johan Mjällby scoring a goal one night at Fir Park. It was further down the line than that one the other day at Easter Road.
We spoke about it.
And the linesman was
what was the score of that game?
2 each or something. 2 each.
Because that was the one Kevin last week said.
3 each, wasn't it?
2 each. It was a draw anyway.
Aye, it was a draw. Aye.
But that's a defeat when you're...
We're just you're 2 points down.
It's just the corruption in the Scottish game has been rife for a number of years, and it's not get any better.
Just to answer your point about
Peter
Lawwell and that a wee bit, I think they backed themselves into a corner. As I tried to allude last week, see, as soon as it went into this independent body, right? As soon as this independent body comes out and says what they're going to say, you can't say nothing because you agreed to this independent body. You know what I mean? Just
No,
because
but you can say something. You can state the facts. You can. So, what are the SFA doing about them? The dead club breaking their rules? Because this was all along we had heard. We're not doing anything now. This is from the SFA. We're not doing anything now because this is an SPL inquiry. We'll wait and we'll see what comes out of that, and then we'll decide what we're doing. Now, we're not doing anything. They had kept their powder dry, the SFA, this is, because they were the appellate body if Rangers appealed the decision or the SPL appealed the decision. Now, there's other competitions outside of the SPL where Rangers cheated with those same players. And Rangers have admitted this cheating.
Yeah.
They've admitted it with 5 players. We don't know which 5, but we've admitted it. So there's the Scottish Cups for those 10 seasons.
Yeah.
I don't know how many Scottish Cups Rangers won in that time. 3? They've not. The SFA are doing nothing about that. And that's the same competition as we keep on hearing about the Spartans example, where it was the Scottish Cup, and the draconian punishment they received, which is 10% of what Rangers got for 10 years of terrible cheating. But the SFA haven't done anything about that. So Celtic could have gone to the SFA about that. We're not hearing anything. I don't think they're fighting our corner. Do you know what? I thought he was doing stuff in the background, and he was doing certain things. I'm now came to the conclusion that there is no evidence whatsoever that points to that, with everything that's now subsequently happened. And it's sometimes only in hindsight that you can look back, and I'm big enough to say that I was wrong, miles wrong, and see the guys that I've been saying all along. Peter Lawwell wants Rangers back in the league. Peter Lawwell wants rid of the Green Brigade. Peter Lawwell wants all these things, and I'm saying, well, you can't say that, you can't say that. And I'm trying to stick up for him. I was wrong. I was totally wrong. And having been a supporter of the board, I'm just absolutely sick at we went to the back of the bus.
Okay, listen, we're going to come on to this topic, so let's just move on. So our final very hot topic, and before we discuss the topic, it's Marcus of Queensberry rules that will apply. I'm going to ask everyone here that one person will speak at a time. Let everyone have their say, and I include myself in that because I'm
You're not allowed an opinion.
Well,
You're
I'm going
host.
to have one because I'm quite agitated about it myself. But I think once we start talking about this, we will realise how worked up probably we all are. So the topic is, and I'm going to just read through some of the incidents that have happened. I'm going to read the Celtic statement that was released on Monday, and then we're going to open it up to have a discussion. So essentially the Green Brigade had a protest or an unauthorised march apparently on Saturday, and I think everybody's probably saw the police tactics, which included things like kettling, etc., and some of the arrests that were being made. Disproportionate, I think, is a mild way of putting it. Subsequently, there was a former affiliation member, I think it was, who called one of the podcasts the Celtic Dream Show. I don't know if anybody's heard that, to allege that he was at a meeting with Peter Law, the head of security. I think the police were involved in that, and there was a separate meeting with the affiliation had a meeting, and then the CSA had a meeting. And he alleged collusion by the club, and he was the guy that's quoted. Peter Law was saying, "Give them enough rope to hang themselves." He then came on, and I've just finished listening to the podcast. The guy came back on to the Homeboys podcast and clarified it, sounding very genuine, and you know, the guy sounds very believable to me, and we'll talk more about that. In response to that and other things, and I think there was the local MSP as well who raised it today in the Parliament, which was quite good. But Celtic did release a statement, so I want to start with the statement.
Just before you start with that, which MSP?
Michael
McMahon. All
was
right,
raised
sorry, I thought you
today.
said the local MSP there.
I thought he was the local MSP.
Not for here.
No, for here. It's
No, for there, I mean.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
for
That's his area.
Is it?
Pretty much. If
East
it's no there,
Kilbride and Stratford.
if it's no there, it's round about there.
It's round about
Anyway, he's raised it in the Parliament today.
Right, good.
Okay, so I'll start with the Celtic
He
statement.
was shot down with Mr McCaskill.
Aye. I'll start with the statement, which was the safety and well-being of Celtic supporters is of paramount importance to the club. The club is very concerned to see imagery of Saturday's march by members of the Green Brigade from Gallowgate to Celtic Park and subsequent claims with supporters of police harassment and heavy-handed policing. This is an issue which the club takes very seriously. Once again, we would urge any supporter who feels that they have been a victim of such harassment to contact the club with details by using the following email addresses: fansagainstcriminalisation@gmail.com and operations@celticfc.co.uk, in order that we can formally raise such matters with Strathclyde Police. We should remind supporters that the club has set up a working group which is independently chaired to establish a complaints review panel to oversee the complaints process and improve transparency. Any suggestion of collusion between the club and Strathclyde Police is quite frankly ludicrous. The Celtic supporters have a long and well established reputation for good behaviour, and everyone is very proud of that and keen to ensure that it continues. In the meantime, we will be writing to the Chief Constable to ask for a full report on Saturday's events. So that was Celtic's response. Just before I open it up, there was one other kind of update on the homeboys, which suggested that I think a guy was called Mike or Mick, I don't know if you heard him when he came on, suggested that today Peter Law was meeting the police and the Green Brigade and the CSA and possibly the affiliation. So I was hoping that there was going to be an update before we come on here, but there hasn't been an update. So I'm just going to open up to you guys just to remind you that actually I'm quite annoyed about this. So if any of us go off in one, we'll try and reel it back in. So one at a time. Who wants to kick off?
Well, I listened to you. I listened to the guy. I'm sorry to the guy. I can't remember his name. The guy was excellent.
Aye, what?
I listened to him last night, and I listened to him also on is it the Celtic Dreams.
He was on Celtic Dreams first and then the homeboys got him on.
Well, in Celtic Dreams on Friday night, they're giving the guy an hour, and he's actually got the minutes for the meeting. So I'm with you, Vincent. The guy seemed genuine enough. He's got no reason to lie. He offered his resignation to the affiliation. The affiliation refused his resignation. He's got to resign anyway. And I'm with him 100%. I'm a Celtic supporter. So are they boys. They boys, and as far as I'm concerned, are angels to what I was like when I went to the football. And I'm no joking.
And you're still like.
Aye.
They don't cause any bother. They sing, they've brought atmosphere to that ground. I mean, the first bad bit of publicity they got, I seen it with my own eyes. It was the day Celtic played at Falkirk, and there was a protest about some minute silence for Poppy Day or whatever it was. The boys were outside.
They were outside.
Well, I can assure you, they weren't making any noise or singing any songs. There was 2 turnstiles open, and we were queued away back to where the buses were. And ever since then, they've been in at the boys, the Green Brigade. And Peter Law, he's got a letter off of me anyway. I'm telling him now, he either comes out and backs the boys, or he's not getting my season ticket money. And I've had a season ticket since the story in the old jungle. I'm not happy about it whatsoever. Young lad, he's getting through about with 6 policemen, 14-year-old that laddie was.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's unbelievable. They've got 4 cameras pointing at a section of guys, 1,000 people. There was a guy with red hair, seemingly. There he's there, red hair, with the camera. So the next home game, MD went in with the Green Brigade with red hair, get arrested. Did they get the right guy? It's an absolute joke.
It's disgusting.
It's just, that's the word that's been used.
It's disgusting. See the footage? So there was 2. I seen one photograph and I actually tweeted it, and it was a policeman, a mounted policeman, had pushed a young guy on his. It could have been you, Christopher, or Luke, a 12-year-old pushed against a wall, and it was almost as if the horse was standing and they'd pushed. And then the other bit of video footage was that young guy, 14-year-old, getting huddled down on the ground, 4 or 5 policemen on, obviously kneeling on his back to get the cuffs on. You could almost hear the wee boy squealing. Absolutely disgusting. disgusting fascists.
Actually,
That's
as
what it's
well, I've
Have you-
heard from a good source that the police had their numbers covered up
Aye,
in
so I heard that. as well.
jackets.
Well, see, the other thing about that is over in Tirrin, and people were saying about the police over there, the confectionary area, or whatever they are, they're absolute nutters. So I was right next to these guys as it was getting a bit tense in Tirrin because we weren't getting in, and that was nothing compared to what I seen Strathclyde's finest on that video footage. Absolutely disgusting behaviour, and it was just horrible to see. And do you know, see, for the strength of that, the way the police behaved or how bad it was, to come back with such a weak statement from the club is so disappointed. Someone put up a statement from Hull Football Club around their fans being treated, and honestly it was absolutely brilliant. This is how Celtic should respond, and
I think
there's just nothing there from
I
the
think
board. It's
See,
so
when
disappointing.
we went to the game on Saturday, right, and we were sat down, and I looked there right away to see the Green Brigade, and I'm saying to myself, they're singing around like they're dead quiet, and I says, I wonder if they've gone to do a wee kind of, normally they would
Aye,
they'll
burst
hold their
into
thing
it.
about 20 minutes into the game or something like that. They normally do a kind of spurt, and I was just wondering, but they didn't really do into virtually the end when everybody was up, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Then I seen that. No, what I don't know what gets me is, how did they have as many police officers in the East End of Glasgow? It's incredible.
Well, we've already told lies, the police, because
That's
the
what I'm
press
talking about,
office
Brian,
said they responded to a call about
were
people
sitting there-
gathering.
they were sitting there
They
with
were
people with
already
vans
there.
everywhere.
So the helicopter was ready, the mounted police were ready, and the 200 policemen with the meat
Incredible.
wagons, they were all
apparently
ready.
these were police for all over Scotland.
It was an operation, and it was just
Everybody
disgusting.
round about this table knew that demon was going to happen. So the police must have knew it was going to happen. I'd heard about it. Yeah, you'd mentioned it a few weeks ago. I knew it was going to happen. They were having a march up to Parkhead. I was saying to Brian today, we were talking about it today, and I said to Brian, does that mean that if you've got 20... See, like
Aye.
there was 14 years on Saturday.
You can't walk to a football
We
game
can't
now.
walk to the game together. You know what I mean?
Just disgusting.
The
You
difficulty
see, if the
is,
bus pulls up and everybody walks together after the bus, is that a demo?
I mean, the difficulty around the legality of it is there is laws that nobody agrees with, particularly, that allows some of the stuff that the police got away with. But to my mind, that's a bit of that's the kind of red herring. The bit for me, the whole situation for me, the more I'm hearing, the best word I've got is smelly. There's something smelly about this, you know. And actually, if I can just finish, Brian, I think one of the things where I'm like you, I've been a great supporter of Peter Law, and I've managed to be in his company, not personally, but as a kind of audience type thing, and always found him very good. Always felt as if, like us, Celtic fan, and the more and more I listen today to the podcasts and what a lot of people have been saying around about it, the more I'm starting to think two things. One is the guy that came on to the podcast, Johnny, the Celtic Dreams, sounds a stand-up guy, and to be honest with you, I pretty much believed what he said. So, and I'm taking it at face value, but I pretty much believe his version of events. But I've also listened to, and I brought it to this podcast before, what Peter Law would say at one of the Q&As around about the health and safety. And I also believe him, because actually in my job I've got a health and safety responsibility on a smaller scale, but actually if you don't take that serious, you can end up in the jail, right? And that goes for Peter Law. He's a senior officer. But the one thing that I will criticise Peter Law is, he's the chief executive of a multi-million-pound company, right, who earns 500k plus, right?
700k.
Now, from my point of view, if I was in that position, that is a direct dereliction of duty that he hasn't got the guys in and sorted that. So if he's sitting there thinking, well, I'm not going to meet with them because they didn't come to meet with me the last time, that's pathetic. If I was him, I would have the representatives of the Green Brigade in and say, right, if this is what he wants to say, see if you do that and that, you're banned, so don't do it. Right, so if he says that, fine. But actually, he needs to get them in and have that grown-up conversation. He needs to be the guy that actually swallows his pride and sorts it. because in actual fact he's letting Oyers down. And you know what? There's a movement building here, and it's in this room as well. If you listen to the podcast, I don't care what banner we all stand behind, but we're not going to let this happen. And actually we need to do something about it.
It is. It's
It reminded me. Sorry, Brian. It reminded me. I was thinking about it today. The miners' strike. When you let the police just off the leash, just let them do
what you want.
Do what you want. Exact same happened to Hillsborough that day. Remember the big stinker? It took 20 odd years for that to come out.
Aye.
What happened that day at Hillsborough? But the miners' strike, it just struck me today. That's what. See, when I seen that photo your Kevin had on it, you think you tweeted it? There was more police there than there was.
Aye.
Kids.
Protesters.
But that's what you get to see.
And they took the kids and they took them for where the CCTV was. They took them into a bit that isn't covered by CCTV. They knew exactly what they were doing. See this fallacy? We just turned up and they were all there. They knew exactly. That was planned to take them to that main road and outside where that Untouchables are. Whereas I think it's a paint, a wallpaper shop or whatever. See that bit there? There's no CCTV there because all the motors keep on getting broke into. I can't believe there's no CCTV there, right? But see that bit? That's where they moved. They moved in from the main road to there. So they were away for seeing everybody up that, would you call it, at the bars.
But
they were stopping Chris Kajawa was filming and taking photographs and tweeting, and the police were stopping people that weren't part of that group from trying to get them to move on to stop any evidence gathering, basically. It's just,
I think it was the biggest.
What you touched on, Peter, about it being like scenes from Thatcher's Britain, and that's exactly what Paul Brennan, actually, of CQN, wrote at the end of one of his articles. I don't know if it was today or yesterday. He said Salmon Scotland's looking more and more like Thatcher's Britain. And that's exactly, seeing police state like that.
But the police asked for these powers, and the police almost wrote that legislation in some ways. And this is why, and this is what they can do with it. But actually, the thing that really annoys me as well, whilst I'm angry at Peter Law as well, I'm trying to get my head around what is the remit. What, at the very highest level of the police force, what is their remit around the Celtic fans? What are they trying?
Can I answer that? Because the police have already stated this over a year ago when they said they were going to smash. Someone heard that it was quoted that they were wanting to smash the Marxist socialist Green Brigade. They wanted to smash them. And that was a quote from the police, which they subsequently denied and said, no, it was taken out of context. How you take that out of context? But
what else can you mean?
So they've kind of went through a period of time where they've obviously not acted upon that, but now they are very much acting upon it. Now, Peter Lawwell has a duty of care, which he's failed in several things around the business in terms of what's happened with Rangers, but in this specific instance, he's failing the support.
I think we should all, march up to the game room.
See the the quote the quote that's been attributed to Peter Lawwell. Give them enough rope and they'll hang themselves.
Right.
Peter Lawwell should take on board that quote himself and walk. Right. He should walk out of the club. I know you've been in that kind of environment where it's a question and answer. The guy is a very clever, talented guy in certain aspects, but he's also a politician and also a businessman that will do anything to suit what he wants. If he's not going to protect the support or protect the club that I love, I want him out of there. Out.
If you just strip it down, but if you are in any business, right, and you look at it from his point of view, that's his biggest stakeholders are crying out to him and saying, what are you going to do about this? Now, I can't believe for a minute, and I'm no a Peter Law puppet or whatever, I don't even know the guy that well, but I can't believe for a minute that he doesn't have our best interests at heart. That's the bit that's really quite difficult for me to understand. But
Peter Lawwell has Peter Lawwell's best interests at heart.
The more and more this is continuing, the more we're all starting to question that and actually think, what in actual fact are you doing about this? Now, the thing that's also quite annoying is that you're starting to hear some fans questioning other fans, and this whole divisive thing. And there was one guy issued a rallying call, and I would enforce that as well. We all need to stick together, and we will sort this. And whatever it is, whether it becomes a march or whether it becomes a movement, we will sort this out. But this also brings me back to the point I was trying to make. If the police's ultimate remit is to smash the Green Brigade, these guys are clever guys, you know that. These are clever guys in the top jobs of the police. I just can't understand why they would think by doing what they did on Saturday that would make it easier to smash them, because in actual fact, if you've got half a brain, you would know that would actually energise the rest of the support. The minute you do something to the support, the rest of the support are now thinking, well, hold on a minute, you're not going to get away with that because we're going to do something about it. So I'm just not quite getting it.
I think it was phenomenal. See the thing about it is, see whatever the police have set themselves out today, that was their biggest own goal on Saturday.
Yeah.
Biggest own goal, unbelievable, Vincent.
Yep.
They've got that much. Everybody else is against them now. They've dug some hole here.
That was like the British government bringing in internment.
But that's why I can't understand it, because they're
such an own goal.
I don't think they're that daft, Brian, which is why I'm still trying to work out.
I think you're giving them too much credit, Vincent.
Well, surprised you who gets in it now.
Correct.
But that's what I was going to say. There were two other marches in Glasgow that morning.
Aye.
There was an anti-racist.
Was there a Nazi one?
No, it was an anti-Nazi fascist one.
There was two.
And the SDL, the Scottish. So to me, the SDL are more trouble than 1,000 Green Brigade members.
There's not even. I mean, you've heard them. There's a couple of hundred.
See, you're talking about there, Vincent.
Police there, and it was the picture I see.
See, you're talking about what do you call it? Celtic support and people that's going to see the semi-final we were at 2 seasons ago, and they huckled the boy at the front, the older boy, the Green Brigade. I can always remember him getting huckled out, right, because they let the flare go, and he was told, if they let the flare go, you're getting left at, right, because they all kind of stormed up, because our tickets we had, Johnny, was right next to the Green Brigade, and I was watching, he got huckled out, right, but I was looking at all it's all young laddies.
Well, they're only brains.
But see, this is what I'm trying to drive home to be here by Peter Lowell. If he doesn't get a grip of this, he's going to low sod in. They're not going to put their money into Celtic Park. You know what I mean? He's going to lose. They'll go to full season ticket holders. They'll be charging them the hill, and now they're going to lose them. It's false economy. If they doesn't get something else,
it's not just that. What it is, and Peter touched on it as well, and we spoke about it in a previous podcast. As I had said, I've got a real worry that this is just going to end up dividing the support, and that's what's happening.
Yeah.
So what you'll have also, in addition to not just the Green Brigade not going, you'll have other fans not going out the back of it. I mean, I'm now, for slightly different reasons, more to do with the SFA, I'm not going to put money into any other Scottish football club. I'm not going to any Scottish Cup games, irrespective of whether it's a semi-final or final. I'm not doing it. But you'll have fans that do that with Celtic Park. I'll continue to go to Celtic Park. Mm-hmm. I think I still think there's more to come out with Peter Lowell and what he's been doing.
We need to hear what he's saying. I mean, that's not good enough. But that's just the same as the last statement that they came out with.
Aye.
They're not much different to that, is there?
What I hope that these people do what's asked, so that they actually do contact the club, they actually make the complaints, because see up to the point that the last Q&A session, which was about 3 or 4 weeks ago, the Celtic had two official complaints, and I couldn't believe that. I'm thinking, all these things that we knew was going on, why are people not actually contacting them? Because then you can go back and say, there's your complaints, you did absolutely nothing.
Part of the challenge around that is the trust element has gone. Peter Lowell has lost that trust element, and I think it's come to light now with some of the things that are happening, some of the things that have been said, why that's the case.
If you send in a complaint to Lowell, if you've been ejected for the ground, you can send in a complaint to him, but you're still season tickets confiscated until your case comes up, which nobody's lost a case. It's been arrested for Celtic Park yet.
No, what gets me is a minute get arrested on Saturday.
I think that's another thing.
14 get arrested.
Part of Salmon's.
9 of them. I heard this breakdown. 9 of them get charged and 5 have not been charged.
Aye.
Well, they've been arrested. Sorry, they've been arrested, but now 5 are going to court. 9 are going to court and 5 are not going to court.
So they now have had their season tickets confiscated.
And see another thing, John. But see these young. I'm going to call them young laddies.
They're young
Right.
laddies.
What kind of backgrounds do they all come from? Who's all their fathers? You know what I'm talking about? Where's all their connections today with Celtic and all that? They've been brought up in the Celtic way.
Aye.
What did their fathers think of that? Seeing their laddies, as you say, Brian, you put that out, you tweeted that photo, a young laddie stuck against a wall with a horse.
Aye.
How does that feather feel?
Aye.
Well,
Aye,
where Christopher gets searched down there one day, he was doing. In the toilet.
young would you call Scott and wee Andy get searched regular.
I mean, there's
One week
Christopher 13.
the police put his hand in his pocket.
They're
all stuffed
looking,
it.
looking for drugs. That's what they're
Sure,
looking for.
surely they're not allowed to do that.
Well, they're not allowed to do search.
Yeah.
Well,
They've got
there's certain powers. I mean, actually, McCaskill came out with a
16-year-old lad.
McCaskill came out with a
Search
stat
Christopher,
today
he's 13.
to say that 84% of the cases brought are successful. Now, how can he say that? Is that? I mean, we saw the other side of
Because
that.
84%, I would assume, the majority haven't went through.
So
I
it's
would
even-
like
so
to
it's
know.
once they go through, is that what you mean? Sorry, is that
Once I've reached their
I
conclusion.
know he was playing with figures. I just didn't
Sorry,
know how
well,
he
we're
did
playing
it.
with figures, but it's.
I don't know how he did
It could
it.
be fans of other clubs.
Aye, but that could be
Aye.
these penalties. That could be something like look, you've got it yourself. We'll send it through the door. £60 fine, but no one else. You know, you've said to yourself, "Oh,
And
I'll go
what
to
is
court, or I'll just spend on the £60."
But I think there's
Is
a
it
lot-
84% that are taken to court,
I
or is it
don't know.
84% that
He
have
was
been
playing with-
arrested?
he was playing with figures
Aye,
and trying to
it's-
tell us
Brian,
how
I think it's 84%
how successful it
arrested.
is.
No, it'll be 84% that are taken to court.
Aye.
Because they'll drop
Because the rest
charges.
don't even get to court.
The rest won't
They
get
don't
to court.
by
The procurator fiscal will drop it.
fiscal, that's what it is. I was trying to work out how he was being clever with it. I knew he was being clever.
So it
with
would
the
be
figures.
interesting to see arrests, and Kevin spoke about this, about Celtic should be monitoring what arrests take place and following each one of those individuals, because that's each one of those arrests is a person. It's a Celtic fan, it's somebody's son or somebody's daughter, and following it through to its conclusion and supporting it, if need be, supporting that person, but also seeing how the police are dealing with this, because it seems to me that a lot have been arrested. You've just identified, Brian, that 33% or more than that, 40% of who was arrested at the weekend is not even going to court already.
Which is
So why were they arrested?
I think
It's just
I read an
disgusting.
article on
It really is.
Sunday,
Oh.
and actually the backdrop was quite interesting in terms of the police service. Obviously, they're trying to become a national police service.
Well,
And
that's
there's
happening.
This,
Aye.
it is happening, but there's this civil war and fighting for turf within the Scottish Police Service. So this is the backdrop of this kind of
Budgets.
legislation. is that?
So you're coming up
So
to
in
the end
actual
of
fact,
the-
it's to their
Aye,
advantage.
April.
the
Financial
financial year, and they'll look at the figures and say, "Oh, all right, you've only had 40 arrests at football games yet. That's that whole policing focus unit costs."
Aye. And you told us this
This-
legislation
I mean-
was what you needed.
Aye.
So if in actual fact what
You're not even
transpired
using
was nothing, no arrest, then I say you don't need that then. So there's all that kind of interest and it's
One of the boys in the podcast got up to a cracker the other day, and I've noticed it at away games. I don't notice it at Celtic Park because I don't sit near the Green Brigade. Police with a camera right at you.
Aye.
What's the point of that?
that's the Celtic.
Well, it's two things. One is the identification
Aye.
thing, but the other thing's intimidation.
That's exactly that.
That's what the kettling was on.
Aye.
But they've installed these cameras in
4 above the Green
Above the
Brigade.
Green Brigade.
They're the only ones in Celtic Park, apart from the normal CCTV that.
I don't know, there was another interesting discussion run about the kind of, after that meeting, the affiliation thing that they were talking about. They'd showed them videos, so they've showed them these videos of that area. This is the behaviours that aren't acceptable.
Aye.
And then afterwards, it was the security guy going around looking at all the broken seats.
Aye.
Here's all these broken seats. That was as a direct result of.
The Green Brigade jump about. why did they ever do it when the Deed Club ever came to Ibrox and or Celtic Park, and broke all the seats?
Why would the Green Brigade
We never seen any footage of that, did
Have
we?
you seen it from
Well, what's
them?
the point? They know they've not again.
That's part of it. Part of that you're thinking actually. Well, actually, a couple of the guys had said, "Listen, my seat's been broke for about 5 years." So I mean, they just don't fix them anyway. But there's those things where, and I think a few guys had said, right, the Green Brigade are not doing themselves any favours. I don't particularly agree, but there is a number of things where you could say, see if you just didn't do that and didn't do that, you're not gaining them anything to come back at you for, which you can kind of half understand. But
Aye, and I've been of that mind, but it's went too far now. It's went too far with the way they've been treated by some people within the club, seemingly, and but more so the police, and it's just disgusts me.
But it's absolutely horrible.
And
I think
shameful.
Saturday was the worst thing that could ever happen to Strathclyde Police.
It's almost since a minor strikes.
I'm telling you, John.
I know the police. It's just going to make it worse.
I think it's the worst thing that could happen to them
But for
because
us-
they've been exposed.
For what they are, aye.
They've been exposed. See if you're taking the kids off that main road and putting them into a bit, it's not got CCTV and all that carry on. Every paper's carrying it. Every, what do you call it, website. You guys are all into Twitter and that. Everyone's carrying it against the police. It's a big own goal for the police.
We
See
knew
the
about it
PR
before.
department, I'm telling you right now.
Going into the game on
Aye, I
Saturday.
knew about it before going into
It's
the
all
game.
over
You could
Twitter.
see it.
That's what I'm saying.
All the
See-
photos.
see
It was
how
just
you-
disgusting.
We had this thing about what happened to, is it Serco or whatever they're trying to
Serco.
whatever they're trying. But see Twitter and the modern media now, this is a big own goal for the police. It is, Vincent, it's a major own goal for the police
I'm agreeing with you.
because it's a 14-year-old laddies and that. Seeing you're exposing that's bullying.
But I'm agreeing with you. What I'm actually saying is we should then be making it taking it to our advantage, so that we actually then do something about it. Because actually, Brian's face and his mannerisms the exact same I was going through. See, when I was sitting listening to, first of all, the first podcast where they got the Green Brigade guys on, the Homeboys, it was that anger building within you, that, you know, that sense of injustice that we've probably had all our lives. You know, that was reigniting. And then see, when I listened to the what was it, the Celtic Dreams, and then the subsequent Homeboys.
Aye, I've not
I was
heard
coming
any
in
of
here
them
tonight
yet.
thinking I need to watch myself actually, because I'm getting so angry about it, and I think we're all starting to feel the same, and we can guarantee that the rest of hopefully Celtic fans are beginning to feel the same. What I want to know is, what is the party Tic Talk and Hail Media in coordinating that and trying to get somewhere, because in actual fact what we don't want is infighting. So how and who is going to lead this, I think, is a question I'm just going to leave.
I think you're the man,
And it's
Vincent.
definitely not me.
You're the man.
There'll be plenty of leaders.
I think so.
And I think there
a shortage of
is.
leaders. We could have our own banner for the Green Brigade.
Aye, there's nothing to stop that.
I like the idea of-
absolutely no
I
problem.
like the idea of everybody going to the game but no getting in until the start of the second half, or
Well, that's
vice
been-
versa,
that's been
getting in the
mentioned.
first half and leaving.
No.
There's
Too
loads of
much-
things
that
out
could,
there.
That could be dangerous. That could be
Well, you
dangerous.
then cause a division as well against us with the
If
support.
somebody doesn't walk out and everybody starts
Unless-
shouting at them,
Aye. The thing.
See
I
the
would do
banner
is-
thing, John. I think the banner thing's a real good thing for everybody.
Aye.
If you've got the banners all around the stadium, for all different supporters buses, and you've had buses going there for. If you listen to some of them, for
Banning the
time.
post didn't give a job, right? Fucking honest.
But
the
Peter, I
post
think
one, but the,
No, but Peter Lawwell will have
Peter
to go.
Lawwell.
Aye,
What would be
you're
good
forcing
would
an issue.
be see a banner with the number of season tickets in the club. So Carluke Shamrock, 67 season tickets, and
Aye.
that's it.
Aye.
Every supporters club doing the same
Add it
thing.
up. 'Cause actually,
Add
you're right.
these up. And
Finance is the only thing that's
the
going on.
Green Brigade
Aye,
could
'cause
hold.
that's all the way these-
The Green Brigade could hold the banner. Add these up, Peter.
Aye.
And all the supporters club.
That's a good idea,
That's
Brian.
a good idea,
That's a
Brian.
start.
Thank
Write
you.
that down, Brian.
Aye. There you go.
I've
Actually, I
got
think
no doubt
there's-
there'll be somebody right on that the new Brian.
Are we live?
But actually, laugh aside, we need to get something that
No,
we
there
need
is.
to mobilise. And actually, the other thing that's coming up is season ticket renewal time,
Aye,
which is actually the most powerful thing we've got.
Do you know I'm in a
Well, your
real
season ticket went up last season.
I'm in a real difficult position. I guess I have to say
I'm
right
the
now.
same.
think
I'm the
everybody
same.
is.
The thing about it is as well, it's not like 5 and 6 years ago that you had to get in there and get your ticket right away.
Aye.
There's no problem now.
Aye.
You say,
Aye,
listen,
pick your seat.
Aye. It's a different kettle of fish.
Aye. Interesting times ahead.
Aye, but we've spoke about it and many a time gone away.
Aye.
With Big Desi and I'm with you. I knew it was going to come to a head.
Aye.
And
It's not a bad thing it is coming to a head, but
I just hope it comes to
a satisfactory, a good,
outcome,
positive.
Okay, before we finish this subject then, I'll just go around each of you. What do each of you want to be seen to be done next that would help resolve this?
I'll go first. I would have every supporters club have a banner again with a number of season tickets on it.
That's a great idea.
And the Green Brigade to hold up another banner
Add
saying,
them up.
"Count these, Peter."
That's
Or
what you
add
want
these
to see.
up, Peter.
That's what you want to see.
And I'm sorry to say, I now think Peter Lawwell's position is untenable, and I would like to see him resign.
strong words for Brian
Strong.
McCauley.
Brian, I think
I agree with his first one. That is a great idea. I'd like to see him come out and this other guy, I think it's Ronnie Hawthorne his name is, the two of them to come out and speak openly to the full Celtic supporters.
That's
Whether
what
they
I
do it
think.
through the papers or I'll not buy the paper, but I'll no doubt it'll be on Twitter or whatever, and you'll be able to see what they're saying then.
Well, every one of us has read the Celtic statement,
Aye,
so
well, that's the exact same as the last statement, so
Aye.
surely
it's
he
inadequate.
knows what's happening. He knows. He's got his people probably listening to these things. He knows what's going on with the support. The support are not happy. No, the support are not happy.
No,
I can't advocate what you were talking about, not buying season tickets. The only
Do you get it?
I don't think we said that though, Peter, to be fair.
We've no committed to that yet.
Nah, but
We've no said that.
there's only one team, only one thing that's going to hurt as a team.
Yes.
And I can remember years ago, Johnny, you could probably remember it as well. They had a boycott one time.
I went to the
It was
game.
against
Kilmarnock.
about the Kellys and the thing was, remember, nobody to pay again, remember?
Save ourselves.
Savers, nah. And that's what you were kind of touching on a wee bit there. If everybody wasn't to walk out at half time, divided the support. I can remember you were getting abuse as you were getting into the ground and you were saying, well, I can get in to support my team. I'm no,
Aye.
you know what I mean?
Aye, but Peter, we were only 21, 22
But
then.
this is what annoys me about this thing about the Green Brigade. I could picture us there.
Aye.
I could picture me there.
Aye, but
You know,
we were
see
only
when I was
22
younger.
there. We didn't realise how bad it was with Celtic.
I could picture us. I mean, I've been in worse situations with the Polish, with fully Celtic.
Aye.
To be perfectly honest. But I could picture. I just want to see how it transpires, to be perfectly honest.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. I just hope it's beneficial for every Celtic fan.
Aye.
I think it's got to be that way, John. You know what I mean?
Aye.
The Green Brigade have brought, in the last 2.5 to 3 seasons, atmosphere into Celtic Park.
Aye.
We didn't have it. It was like a morgue.
I'll tell you, I would take my season tickets round there if I get them in a heartbeat. And I'm nearly 50. I would go round there and sit with the boys.
Oh, they don't sit.
Ah, well, I'll stone it.
You're
I'll stone it every away game anyway.
Johnny, you're not
You're
fat
not
enough to
getting
go through
Don't
that.
kid yourself on, boy.
Yeah, you're still fit as a fiddle.
Listen, he could do with jumping up and down for an hour and 2 of the size he's getting.
To stay, man.
You would need to do a stress test in section 111 if he was in it.
I don't know about being at that march rate enough for the way
Aye.
the posts are carrying on.
I'm
No,
just
you'd
gonna-
be left it, you'd still be in.
I'm just going to add my own wee word. Part of it is just a wee bit of sadness, actually, just for this position of strength that we're in as a club, that we find ourselves, and this isn't the fans, we find the club shooting themselves in the foot. That's the sad bit for me. I'm not at this point in time asking for Law to resign. However, what I would say is he really needs to grow a set, take control of this, take the initiative. It's his responsibility. You're the chief executive. Stop this dilly-dallying about. Get the guys in, speak to them, and get it sorted. Because it's actually getting to a stage where it's quite embarrassing. And as a chief executive who's well recompensed, who's well respected, who's a Celtic fan like the rest of us, I think he needs to get it sorted. It's his responsibility. Stop mucking about. And to all the Celtic fans, I would say let's mobilise together, and we'll force change if it doesn't happen. Voluntarily, we'll force it. We've done it before, and we'll do it again. That's what I want to say.
Wise words from the host.
Thank you very much. So now for our final regular feature.
Shambolic.
Thanks, Chico. So for this week's Shambolic, I asked you all to think of great Celtic comebacks. So after Saturday's superb Lenten resurrection from the dead, see what I did there, eh?
No.
Any other comebacks that live long in the memory, guys? So who wants to kick off?
Well, I'll kick off because I've got a couple.
Oh, he's got
I think of.
Pierre's got a couple.
I've got two. What you
This is where I want to get first because I think you're going to tell the same one.
I'll be the same. He's got it written down and everything.
And I've got one.
No, he'll not remember this one.
I've got one, but I'll even sing the song. I'm not even sure if this was a comeback, but I'm talking about last minute stuff.
Right, okay.
Henry dropped the ball.
Was that the semi-final?
Semi-final. Hearts.
2 goals in about a minute.
1988.
But the interesting thing about that was their goal was we all thought it was a foul.
Aye.
And then Big Roy was, savvy enough to do the exact same, knowing that he couldn't get it. He couldn't. Well, he could have, I suppose.
Aye.
The referees we've
And
got,
they've been noted.
but he couldn't. So that was another thing I liked about Big Roy.
That was that game. And
That was a
Mark McGee
comeback.
scored that goal.
yes. And then I was going to
McAvenny.
the final with David Problem with a free kick. Kevin
Oh,
Gallagher
Dundee United,
scored.
100th Scottish Cup final, 1985.
Again,
Peter
that was a last minute
Well done, Brian.
to bring us up to 2-1.
McGarvey scored the
Hung
header.
in the air.
That was late.
Oh,
there for about 3
man.
minutes.
Rubber net.
And then Celtic the next week.
And another
Exciting.
game,
I
knew it was good.
I could think
That's
of.
3.
Nah, well,
That's no say one of mine.
no, this is
Come back to
no,
him.
I've actually got a 4th one, but I'll do him the 3rd one. The 3rd one, I'm not even sure if this was a comeback either, but again, going to the last minute, was when we were chasing the championship and Big Mialby scored against Dundee. I don't know if you can remember that game. It was a very last minute.
Were we getting beat?
No.
Well, it's not a comeback then, is it?
No, but it was for the title.
Oh, for the
We
title,
were chasing
okay.
the title. We were going
What
to
year
drop
was this?
2-2.
Right, I'll give you.
This was Martin Neal's first season, I'm sure.
First
We
season.
won it at the park first season. 21 points or something.
We were chasing the game.
it's a comeback.
Dundee
It's a comeback,
Dundee
Brian.
scored it. We scored in the last minute. Mialby scored it.
I mind
It's a
again. I can mind it. Doing it.
That was a very
I
important
think you're
game. I
supposed to
think.
come back.
No, I'm not.
Right, Johnny, come on, give us it.
Right, my first one
First one.
is the day where Joe was born. Doing 2-0 at Ibrox. Come back out in the second half. We could actually have won the league. Beat them 4-2. Dundee United won the league that day.
That's
So
right.
that was a great comeback.
4-2.
4-2. 2 penalties at Ibrox as well. Charlie
Who scored
Nick
that
scored
day?
the 2 of them.
Charlie.
Frank McGarvey and
Murdo.
I'm trying to
Murdo McLeod.
Charlie scored 2. Who scored the 2 penalties?
Murdo McLeod scored.
Is that
didn't
the
he?
game where
No,
Charlie
it wasn't.
Charlie held them off and put the ball in there?
No,
David
that's
Crawford
another
might
one.
have scored. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
That was a
4-2, that's
comeback.
Can I
This-
just add something there, John, just before you go any
Joe
further?
was born that day, 14th of May 1983.
Was that at the time when Celtic used to get a quarter of the government stand?
Aye, the Celtic fans were in the government stand that day. Aye.
That's when the song Can You Spot a Handsome Hun started.
But the next one,
We
this
shared
is
this
a
same
cracker.
story.
These were all there. These were all there. You shall not remember it because it's one of the games that you. It was the start of the season, 19th of September, 1991, I think it was, 92, 91, 92 season.
Oh,
We're at Brockville.
oh aye. Big Pierre, doing the 10 men.
1991. 91. You're a wee-
91.
Right, the team was Bonar, Boyd,
I know who scored.
Bonar, Boyd, not Big Shuggy, the Polish boy, Dobczyk, Peter Grant, Tony Mowbray, Gary Gillespie, Stuart Slater, Paul McStay, Andy Payton, Jerry Carey, and John Collins. We were doing 3-1 with about 10 minutes to go. You mind it? Mm-hmm. And they come back and they won 5-4.
5-4, I do remember that.
John Collins scored with the free kick right at the death.
Aye.
And it was absolutely bedlam. We were still, it was just the start of the season.
Did we not get a man sent off?
Don't remember that, come on, 1991.
You remember the team?
No, Boyd never scored that game, no. But the scorers were Shuggy, Andy Payton, Jerry Crady scored 2 and John Collins scored. But they beat them 5-4, we were doing 3-1. That was, it was one of them, you're never going to do it, and here we go again, because it was just the start of the bad period kicking in.
Aye.
And it kicked in.
Oh, good hell.
Aye.
Kicked in, we are done.
That was it. Honestly, we were all there. Can you mind the
Aye.
old Brockville? And beat many a good game of football there.
Aye.
We never all got it easy there.
No.
I can remember being in the wee bit of
Can't
the
remember
kind of
any
wee
drink.
enclosure there, and that the chairman at the time, I can't remember his name, George.
Fielding.
He came to end up standing next to us. We were laughing. What are you doing?
I used to like going there because, well, especially that day, if you can remember that, I can remember the day it was roasting. We were all out in that street. Now it's all changed now.
That's right.
The buses parked away down near the new stadium. That's new, and we were all out in the street and that.
Couple of shandies.
Aye.
Half and half.
Lemonades.
Nice one. Oh, good
Buckfast
one.
shandy.
They're good ones.
We're just talking about the Green Brigade. Well, much of us at that time.
That's what I'm saying. The boys are angels compared to us.
Aye. Aberdeen, the beach end as well.
Beach end at Aberdeen.
Oh, running battles. Me?
Yep.
More recent one. And we didn't win the game, but it was a comeback.
But it was a comeback. That was a draw.
Kilmarnock.
It was a draw.
Aye.
Just over a year ago.
Right, aye.
Kilmarnock, 3 each. And that day, and interestingly, I was standing right next to the Green Brigade that day. And that day, I think Neil Lennon might have got sacked, or may have resigned had Celtic been beaten 3-0 that day and went 15 points behind old club, dead club. And do you know, Gabiznik, that I don't know how we managed to come back, because even in the second half, Celtic were terrible.
But
And
they
we were
could have still won it. Remember the boy the last.
Heffernan missed a header, open goals, but that's another thing. There was something outside of the players that day. There was a higher power. And do you know what? See the only other
There's a
time.
magic about this.
See the time.
What's a better place?
See that 100th Scottish Cup final? Because if you remember, you mentioned the semi-final where we come back 2-1.
That's right.
We come back in the final as well.
That's the one I
Late on.
Andy Walker
That's the
and
one.
Frank
Kevin
McDonough.
Gallagher.
No,
scored for
that was the
Dundee
100th
United.
Scottish Cup final,
Oh,
or
sorry,
centenary.
Centenary.
You talked about
Machiavelli.
semi-final.
That was the one I was
against
going to bring
Hearts.
on to. I couldn't remember the game.
Machiavelli.
So it was against Dundee United. Kevin Gallagher opened the
That was
scoring,
one right now.
and we scored. There's just something there. And that day, that was a Kilmarnock game, to get back to my original pick. There was something that day, because the team weren't playing well. We got Tony Stokes got the goal, and it just created a wee bit
crowd
of
got
a
right
momentum.
behind them.
And then the crowd got...
Seeing as that final
did-
you're going about, and Gallagher would never have scored anyway. Big Aiken would have brought him down if he hadn't been booked 2 seconds before.
He was just booked for it.
So that for me, there was something special that day at Kilmarnock.
That was Billy McNeil said it. There's a fairy tale about this club, and he's on the DVD for the centenary year.
Aye.
And that's it. There is.
Aye.
Definitely.
Aye,
You're right.
it's-
That's the other power, I think. Brian.
Well, I'm going to ask, you're talking about the centenary year, and many times in that season
Oh, that was
Last
did we
minute.
score last minute goals. And I don't know the answer to this before. I'm just throwing it out there.
I don't, but I was thinking one game in
Rip
particular
them
myself.
stars.
And I
It's the
know
same
I'm going.
one.
Aye, and I'm just thinking about it. I'll let you say what you're going to say, Johnny. But I would throw it out there. We've got the email address and see how many people come up with answers to that one through that season.
I'll be Googling it now.
So the question is,
So how many people?
How
How many
many-
games?
How many
many
games did we
comebacks?
have a last minute goal to win the game?
Aye, last
in the
To win the
centenary
5
season.
minutes.
In the centenary season, okay.
Last 5
We'll
minutes.
put that out to our intrepid listeners and see what they can come up with. Alright, what was the game, Johnny?
No, the game I was thinking then was we didn't win. It was 2 each against the Hearts at Celtic Park. We scored 2 goals in the last minute. Bob McStay scored. I think he might have scored the 2 of them.
I remember that. Does he not score one right for the edge of the box?
Right, right at aye. Dead and buried.
Sorry, you've just reminded me of another game when
Roy Aitken hitting a penalty.
a few seasons ago when at Tynecastle when McManus scored at New Year's Day with 2 goals late on.
You've got me think we can go on for hours now.
And
Well, I can't
that was
believe-
a massive game.
I'm going to give you mine, which is...
The host doesn't get... No, the rule is the host doesn't
no,
get.
the rule is I'm the host and I make the rules.
This will be a good one. This is.
Brian,
I'm going to...
Come on, this is the. He's been.
I'm going to go
He's
for...
been googling this for.
It was a European Cup final, right? I'm going to go for in 1960 something. I can't believe then he's got it. It was a not a bad comeback.
I thought you were going to say Feyenoord there.
So you give me that one then, eh?
I'll give that one.
That was
That's
no
a
bad.
good shout, Vincent.
It's no bad. I watched that game a couple of weeks ago.
Aye, so did I. Watched it with the Lions actually. Funny enough.
Aye, fun enough. The big cup was there.
Okay, and on that note, we're going to wrap up. I'm Vincent at Vincenzo Sir on Twitter, and our panel tonight have been
Peter.
Johnny.
Brian.
Brian, right side of the lights for Richard.
okay. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.
Well.
The thing I want to see the most is the Glasgow Celtic score. I've been to Munich, been to Paris and Berlin. I watched injustice fall upon you in Turin, and I've shared the pain and glory with the friends that I have made as I dance from place to place in green and white on a worldwide tin parade.